Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Handle That podcast. And today is a solo show. I'm drinking a little bit of tea, and we're going to get right into it. I don't want to make this video too long or this podcast episode too long. So I'm going to break it up into three separate parts. All are going to be revolved around mental health and how you can better it, how you can take better care of it, how you can protect yourself from your own negative thoughts. The first episode is going to be about depression. The second episode is going to be about anxiety. And the third episode is going to be about stress. So let's go ahead and dive into what I feel is the more popular of the three. Excuse me. Depression. So, what is depression? Now, anybody who's ever had depression knows exactly what it is. It's that thing, that negative cloud. It's like a negative cloud inside your brain. It's fogging up everything. It's throwing you off. It's throwing your motor skills off. You know, your vibe is just so low. Your vibration, you're operating at a very low vibration. Your energy is low. You get tired fast. You have no hope for the future. You don't feel as though you're worth anything. You don't feel as though you can do anything. You just feel low, right? To anybody who's never had depression, it's a very good thing. But to anybody who's never had it and who wants to know exactly what it is, it's basically everything I just described. It's just like if you were to take a depressed person and a regular person and you were to give them the same type of lifestyle and see how they would, operate in their own individual feeling, one being depressed, one not being depressed. A non-depressed person, get up on time, brush your teeth, fix a nice healthy breakfast, go work out or go to work, get off work, do their job in a timely fashion, get off, go work out, focus on their business so they can get ahead in the world, maybe make a few phone calls, enjoy a little bit of time by themselves, go to sleep at a regular time, clean up, go to sleep at a regular time, and start the day over the next day just to do the same thing, making progress as life goes on. But a depressed person, being a depressed person, you're more likely to get up later in the day because you're more likely to go to bed later in the day. You find it hard to get out of bed. You find it hard to eat at all because one thing depressed people do, as it revolves around food, they either eat too much or they eat too little, right? So you find it hard to make a healthy breakfast. You may get you may not eat at all because you don't see any point in it, or you may go to a fast food restaurant and get something greasy, something heavy, or you may make something at home and it's just a bunch of food that you don't need, but it's a void inside you that you're trying to fill, and food may be the thing that you're trying to fill it with, right? You get to work late, you don't work out, you move in a very slow fashion. It takes you forever to get your work done, and when you finally get done after everyone's gone, you go home and you just sit there. You just sit there. You may watch TV that isn't doing you any good. You may, just scroll down your phone. You may get your phone and just scroll up and down all day or for the rest of the day until you finally find the source to go to bed, and you repeat the day, right? Two completely different approaches to the same type of day, right? So how does it happen? A lot of people want to know, how does a person get depressed? I've said this before. When I was younger, I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was real because it never happened to me. I was one of those cats where it's like, hey, if it didn't happen to me, it can't be real, right? Boy, how ignorant was I, and excuse me. And How do you get depressed? Well, in my honest opinion, you get depressed by a multitude of reasons. You get depressed because of childhood trauma. You get depressed because of adulthood trauma. You get depressed because of being too hard on yourself. You get depressed because you have a hard time completing tasks. You have a hard time seeing the bigger picture, right? Life just seems like this big scary monster that is one day going to eventually consume you like it's consumed everybody else. You may be that extreme with it. That's really how it happens. It's a multitude of ways it can happen, but when it happens, it's not easy to figure out where it's coming from. But if you take the time to settle down, come to terms with yourself, think about what's really bothering you, then it becomes easier to pinpoint exactly why you may be feeling depressed, why you're having depressive thoughts, why you're feeling down all the time, right? So if you ever find yourself in a position to where you don't see the point, you've had things that have made you happy, these things don't make you happy anymore. You have people in your life who are concerned because they've never seen you like this before, or it might have been an ongoing thing for so long to where they're just like, hey, well, that's just how he or she is, and it's a really sad thing. It's really sad because it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. You literally can take your life into your own hands and fix it, right? Whenever people hear depressed people take their lives into their own hands, they immediately think of suicide. It does not have to be like that. You can literally break the cycle of negative thoughts which keep you trapped within your own depressive mind. Seems impossible, but it's very possible, right? How do you go about doing that? Well, first and foremost, you have to come to terms with the fact that you are a depressed person. It's not just a weird feeling that'll go away on its own, because if you do nothing, it's going to stick with you forever. It's not just this phase. It's not that. It is literally a combination of feelings, mixed emotions, stress, traumatic experiences. It is literally a combination of all those things put into a big ball and then dropped onto your neck. So you have to take the responsibility, even though it may not be your fault. You have to take the responsibility to make sure that it doesn't mold you into a negative person. You don't want that, right? So my advice to anybody who may be seeking help with depression, with trying to break out of that, like I said, first you have to understand the problem, understand that there is a problem. Secondly, you have to come up with a plan. Regardless of how small and insignificant that plan may seem to you, regardless of that, it's more of a plan than you had 5 minutes ago. Because 5 minutes ago, you didn't have a plan, right? But now you do. Even if that plan is, I'm going to say one positive thing to myself every single day. At this time, I'll even set a reminder on my phone. At this time, every single day, I'm going to say one positive thing to myself. That's a plan. That is literally a plan right there. As I stated, it may seem small, but it's more of a plan than when you didn't have a plan at all, right? So you have to come up with a plan and execute that plan every single day. You have to get in the mode. You have to train your brain to accept positivity. You have to train your brain to be more positive, because your brain is trained to latch on to negative thoughts. Your brain is trained to latch onto the sadness, the hurt, the pain, the frustration, the hate, the anger. It's trained to latch onto that because as of right now, that's all you've ever known. Because if you're listening to this right now and you've been depressed for years, you probably can't even remember what it feels like to be happy. You probably can't even remember what it feels like to not feel like shit. Because that's all your brain has ever known up to this point. Use me for an example. Right now I weigh about 324 pounds. I'm a big dude. And sometimes I'll look at pictures from 2012, 2013, when I, fresh out of high school. I graduated high school in 2011. And sometimes I look at pictures from me back then and be like, wow, I was really slim back then, right? I can see what I used to look like, but I don't necessarily know what it feels like to be 120, 190 pounds slimmer than what I am. Because as of recent, all my brain has ever known was being over 300 pounds. You see, that is how the human brain works. So just because you learn something doesn't mean you can't train your brain to learn a new skill to combat that which you've already learned, right? So when you come up with your plan and you execute it every day, what comes along with that is being more positive. Not just acting positive, you're actually being more positive. How can you increase your mood? How can you increase your negative mood and make it more positive? Take better care of your body. A lot of people who suffer from depression have a hard time with personal hygiene. Maybe with that plan, say, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth today. I'm going to brush my teeth 2 times today. I'm going to up and brush my teeth 3 times today, right? I'm going to take a cold shower in the morning and a hot shower at night. I'm going to eat a little bit better. I'm going to eat more vegetables, right? I'm going to eat more. One thing I did when I was serious about breaking the depressive curse over me, and I still have my days. I am not perfect. I will not sit here and lie and say, oh, I'm 100%. Some days I have my moments. But what I did when I wanted to seriously kick depression in its ass is I would research what type of foods would aid and help producing specific, mood enhancements. Like I would be like, hey, Google, and my phone just activated. I would say things like, I would activate the phone and ask questions like, what foods help with brain power? What foods help lower cholesterol? What foods help, increase better sleep patterns? Excuse me. What foods help, increase your mood? It may sound funny, but these things really help. For example, foods like fish and carrots are great food sources to boost brain power, right? If you boost your brain, follow me. If you boost your brain power, you're basically giving your brain what it needs to operate on a higher level of frequency. So if you're vibrating here at a low frequency, you give your brain food, you give your body foods to boost that frequency, to boost that energy level, and it just slowly goes up and up and up. Over time, there's going to be a dramatic difference between the level you're at and the level you've been at, right? Because you're taking the steps to break out of that cycle, right? It's not just one thing to get out of this, because it wasn't one thing to get you in the situation. It damn sure won't be one thing to get you out of this situation, right? So you take better care of your body. You eat better foods. You drink a lot more water. You stop eating as much sugar. You stop eating as much processed, bullshitty, fatty foods. You stop going out to eat as much. You start learning how to cook, learning a new skill, finding a passion, and sometimes going back to a passion that you had before. But because of the depressive thoughts, you couldn't really focus on it, So all of these things can literally help you get out of that depressive state. It just is gonna take time because nothing is overnight, right? Nothing is overnight. Even people who become overnight celebrities, they have a dramatically high chance of reverting back to, a common person because they weren't prepared for that overnight success, right? Got a lot of one-hit wonders. We all know them. Now, knowing all of that, giving people an idea of what depression really is, and then giving them ideas on how to break that curse. I know a lot of people, let me take a sip of that drink, sipping on this tea again. I know a lot of people will say, man, I've tried everything, and nothing still works. I still feel like garbage. I still feel like dog shit. I'm sad all the time. I don't have any energy. I don't have this. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Tony Robbins, said, anybody who says they've tried everything and are still failing to succeed has obviously not tried everything. Because if you tried everything, you would be at a better level, right? So oftentimes what happens is you may, instead of trying a multitude of things, you may try 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 things over and over and over. Hope that they work, but they don't necessarily work. In that situation, the only thing I can say is that maybe you may need to try something a little bit more difficult. Maybe you might need to up the difficulty level on yourself. What do I mean by this? So, as I said before, you might want to start with a small plan. And if that small plan doesn't work, add something extra to it. So instead of being like, I'm going to say one positive thing to myself at this time every day, you add in, I'm going to get up at this time every single day. I'm going to go work out before I go to work for at least 30 minutes. And I'm still going to say this one positive thing every single goddamn day at this time, right? That may be the key to breaking out, because maybe the first plan was a little too easy. Maybe it wasn't enough, right? A lot of people are deeply depressed. They've been down in a hole for so long. It's going to take a lot to even get them to see a smidgen of light, right? That light is hope, right? It's going to take a lot to get them to see that. So up the ante a little bit. Wake up. I'm going to work out for 30 minutes. I'm going to build up a sweat. Because one thing I tell you about working out, most times I don't feel like working out, but I still go work out because I know that I have to improve my body. I have to improve my physique, and I have to increase. I basically have to take care of my temple, right? Once you work up a sweat, working out becomes easy. If you don't feel like this is basically, This right here, what I'm about to say, is for anybody who may struggle with working out. If you know you have to work out, but you don't feel like working out, go build up a sweat. Go to the gym, get on the treadmill, get on the exercise bike, stay on it for 15 minutes. Every cell in your body may be telling you, man, leave. Let's just go home and be sad and eat some bullshit food, or not eat at all and just go be in our dark room. Every cell in your body may be telling you to do that. Fight that. Fight that voice that's telling you to give up. Get on the exercise bike. Get on the treadmill. Go for a jog. Go for a walk. Do some push-ups, some light push-ups. Do something to be active for at least 15 minutes. And I promise you, once you get your blood racing and that sweat going, your mind is going to be it's going to be geared to want to continue working out until it's tired, right? You're like, okay, 15 minutes in, yeah, I can do this. This won't be so bad. Okay, now I'm gonna go do some push-ups. Now I'm gonna go do some sit-ups. Now I'm gonna go do some squats. Stuff like that. So to tie it all in, depression is real. a lot of us have depressive thoughts, but we don't really know how to deal with it because we've never been in a situation, or we don't have the knowledge of what it truly is, right? It's real. Most of us go through it, but it doesn't mean, just because you go through it doesn't mean that it has to consume the rest of your life, right? It does not have to consume the rest of your life. You can go out here, you can beat this thing, you can kick it in the ass, and you can become a better person. So with that being said, I really hope y'all enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Make sure that you take control of your life. You take advantage of everything that you have in front of you to beat this thing, and you make sure it doesn't shape you into a negative person for the future. So here again, that being said, hope y'all really enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Stay groovy, stay cool, stay positive. Become the master of your own temple. And above all else, handle that.